Mostert, and Cam's got the inside running and will prevail out the other side of turn 2.
Nice amount of respect for both of them there into the first corner. And then in the background, Thomas Randall was able to sneak it right across and cover everybody off. Jack LeBlanc was trying to get down the inside, and that was a big moment against the fence on the left-hand side there for Will Davison.
Jackson Evans, I think, has been turned down there. He has at turn 3. Someone else got squeezed up to the fence as well. That was about half a dozen cars back. Oh. Feeney trying to make ground, trying to claw back as much as he can in the early phase of the race. This is where there's some easy yields to be done if you can get away with it early in the game. And the passing area of note down here is turn 11, and it's a big dive down the inside. And he's made it work on Andre Heimgartner. Brock Feeney bombing down there, taking James Golding with him. We look back at James now in the run to the final corner. He covers down the inside. He knows that they're vulnerable down there. Remember, none of them have got the normal levels of grip available, and their cars are fat with fuel at the moment, about 110 litres of it.
There's been some unbelievable moves on the opening lap. Damage there for Di Pasquale. Courtney's up 6 positions, and David Reynolds, from his worst qualifying ever in Townsville, is up 8 spots to 13.
I think a lot of that was triggered out of the back of whatever happened down there at turn 3. We'll get to that for you. So Waters has got control of the race by 3/4 of a second. Mostert, Randall, Davison, LeBrock, top 5. No change there as Dick Percat comes in with some damage. I think I saw him getting squeezed. Is that a right rear tyre down on that car?
Yeah, it is.
And then the stuff that you referred to, Mark, Brody in trouble here. So now, I reckon he was the one I saw from the chopper shot.
Was it?
That may have ended up with the contact with the wall down there at turn 3 on that opening lap. So there was a bit of crazy down here, right at the pinch point, 3 wide at the apex of turn 2. But I think it's actually turn 3 where...
That's where that
happened. All right,
yeah.
There we go. Now I know what's happened to... Is that Brody on the right-hand side?
Yeah, and Di Pasquale.
And then ultimately, I think, was that Brody then making contact with Jackson Evans at turn 3?
This is Anton. On your right is Kostecki. That's the damage.
Turn 2.5 strikes again. Percat on the left.
Percat on the left.
Brody on the right. 3 cars can't get through there when anyone moves.
And watch where Will Brown is when all that unfolds, because he's actually the car behind. So when all this goes on, watch that. There's Will. Lucky he didn't get involved in that. A replay of the Bunnings trade power pass. And Will Brown, who was able to put this move on Andre Heimgartner earlier, was able to put the same move on Bryce Ford. So he comes through the fast right-hander that we keep talking about, and then down the inside, Bryce gives him room. He's able to get it stopped well, perfectly executed, nice job.
So the seeds of that are planted back at turn 8. Yep. You begin to get the yield through 9 and 10, and look at this. And then you get the harvest down there on the run to turn 11. 0.2 of a second is the margin between Waters and Mostert. It's going to be a battle for the lead here as Chaz starts to range up and have a think about this. He pokes the nose down the inside, just having a peep at some fresh air. Waters is under pressure and he's just lost a little bit of pace on that lap. He did a 16.7 on the last lap. Mozzie did a 16.5. 65 laps remaining, and at the top end of town, the first blink, because Chaz Mostert has just come into the pit lane in the background, 1.7 seconds off the lead. Keep that in the back of your thoughts. The first of the 2 compulsory stops, and he'd just begun to drift.
Yep.
He was right with him. He got to within 0.2. He was searching for a way around, and then I reckon it started to slide, and they've gone, okay, right now we're losing time. Let's make a change. This is going to represent a 5-lap difference in tyre age to Chaz Mostert. Didn't sit in there too long. We'll get that fuel number for you shortly. Remember, they're dropping 100 litres today over 2 parts, unless they're adopting 3 stops as a strategy. We'll see what it looks like for the Monster Energy car that had decent margin and decent pace. And here we go. Look at this. Tight. Very tight. So this little arm wrestle resumes. Exactly what we want.
Exactly. Could not have timed that better, could you?
26 litres of fuel have gone on for Waters to maintain a track position. So the engineering group in there would have been factoring that, because Chaz would have got a gain from the fresh tyres, therefore the undercut that we talk about. Mark Larkin's done many stories on it, raised it also in the Hino Hub. So they will have been aware of the fact that he was on the march, and there he is. But remember, there's a 5-lap difference in the age of the tyres here. But what a great battle that's unfolding between them as Davison and LeBrock also come into the lane. And what Mostert wants to do here, with all of his powers, is get down there with every single thing he's got, and that's exactly what he tries to slingshot and do now, and has been able to achieve it. They make awkward contact, and as that pushed the guard onto that left rear tyre, that was very, very awkward.
Chaz did that on purpose. Once he was in, and he got the car down the inside, he purposely slowed it to make it very hard for Cam to turn back along the inside. So he purposely did that to ensure that he was going to be able to maintain that position. But this is not over, so Cam Waters now plunges down the outside. Can he get it stopped?
Barely. That was maximised. There was nothing left under brakes. Now, remember, when these tyres come fully up to tempered pressure, he's the one with the crispness, with the grip, and he's going to have the pace, but he's lost a little bit of track position in the play. This is starting to liven up once again. We've talked about strengths, weaknesses, backing off, clear air, temperature effect. Chaz is at the back end of the life of these tyres. This is where the younger tyres for Waters is valuable. He thought about it. He was fully brake and grip limited by the time he got down to turn 2. That was pretty close to awkward contact, but they both managed to get away with it. 37 laps remaining. This is the battle for the lead. Race 13 of the championship. Nothing in it between Mostert and Waters. And there's a pit lane incident under investigation for Cam Hill at the moment. The stewards have just noted as well. Eyes up on this one though. Mostert, no space on the outside. Cam had to think about it, whether or not he was going to overtake. Chaz runs slightly wide here. That could be costly. This could open the opportunity for the run down the inside. Here we go, turn 9 and 10. Waters incentivised. Maybe a kilometre an hour, 2, just slightly better, and he uses it to his advantage. Bang, down the inside for the lead. Crisscross on the other side. Outshoots Mostert. Great motor racing between these two guys as Chazzy fires one back and gets to the lead. Cam up on the outside at the final corner. Quality supercar racing between Waters and Mostert as Mozzie comes out the other side with the lead, perhaps only for just a moment, because there's nothing much left in those tyres on his car.
That is as good as it gets. That exchange is absolutely outstanding driving from both parties.
Oh, lock up the Waters at the critical moment, and he opens the door again, but can he hang on? He's got a tiny grip advantage. He tries to close the door. There's a tiny overlap, and Cam recognises it. Another great exchange through turn 3. These guys are super pros. What a terrific battle between Mostert and Waters. And have a go at the next car in the queue, because Will Davison is now 3/4 of a second behind, and he is right in the middle of this.
This is the best racing we've seen this year. They have absolutely turned it on, Mostert and Waters. And whilst they've been playing those games, Will Davison has made an immense amount of ground. Another late move, and he only just gets it stopped there by Cam Waters.
Now, Davison could be the ultimate beneficiary if this gets too ugly and gets too willing. Davison up on the outside, tries to round him up into a next to impossible position. This is the battle for the lead. First, second, third, Mostert, Waters, Davison. Chazzy getting to the end of the tyre line. The car tucked in behind Waters has got slightly younger tyres. Can he use them now to advantage under brakes, and does Davison go with him? Waters through. Will Davison trying to squeeze through? What an exchange.
Fantastic motor racing. 3 different Ford teams, 3 of the very best operators battling as hard as you can possibly battle. And Waters now with that little reprieve, 0.7 of a second up the road.
The driver's sitting there, hating every second of this, waiting.
Must be close now.
A lot of fuel in this second stop to drop.
Go, mate, go. Good work, mate.
Beautiful exit by Mostert. That's the gap in the fuel delivery.
Cam Waters, race leader, 3.4 seconds up on Thomas Randall. Brock Feeney up into 3rd position now. Will Brown up into 5th position. Jack LeBrock, the meat in that sandwich, in position number 4. Second stop's about to unfold. So, Chaz Mostert at the head of the queue. For those that have taken 2 stops, that process has begun.
Yep, so as you can see there, brand new shiny Dunlop soft tyres for the rear of Cam Waters. So he didn't want to not have the same tools in his armoury to battle Mostert.
A lot of fuel.
Looking for Wilburn, Randall.
The wheels went on nicely. You arrived in the right spot.
Yep, ready to go. Almost there, buddy.
Think about the intensity of this pit stop. That was as cool and calm as collected as Tickford I've seen do. Another thing to take note, no suspension changes, no ride height, no anti-roll bar changes to Cam Waters' car. He's happy with what he has. Give me some tyres and fuel. I'm going after Chaz Mostert.
So we've got Mostert, Randall, Davison have gone by, but Cam's got the youngest tyres now.
So Waters in the background of shot has made it to the back of Will Davison now. You can just see that as they went under the BP Ultimate Bridge at turn 10.
And that is going to be the ultimate in caution and control to not use up too much of that tyre advantage too soon as he now plunges down the inside at 13. Will gives him a pile of space, attempts the crisscross, but he doesn't have the exact track position to do it. And that brings Cam up one spot now into third position.
How's the dark clouds in the background there? So when you look at the numbers, whilst we're also away then for a second, Will Brown's been able to get by Will Davison in the background too, so he's up to fourth.
Somewhere over that rainbow lies a supercar victory. Who's it going to be? Jack LeBrock on the really dirty side of the road, gets down the inside, scrambling out the other side. What a battle with Will Davison here. These guys having an all-time battle for fifth. Brock Feeney profits from that one as well.
But don't discount Matt Payne, who's been doing 15s when everyone else is doing 16s.
He's blazing.
He's the fastest car on the track by a mile.
And continues to hold the fastest lap, but the impressive part is he's been putting more of them together. You're not going to believe what I'm going to tell you next, folks. It is raining.
Oh, check those clouds.
It is raining out there. And that dark cloud that we saw a moment ago is actually dumping some moisture on this racetrack. Now, if you want some supercar action, just add water, because this has already been a nail-biter and a ripper this afternoon, and it's about to get a whole lot weirder, Jack.
I just quickly spoke to Tom Randall's engineer and asked if there was anything possibly wrong with the car. They seemed to think it was just a lock-up. And I can confirm it's definitely raining here, guys. I've got water on the glasses.
We'll get some tissues down there for you. Now, the race director declares the track wet, which just means that officially you can come in and put a wet tyre on. We spoke about it in the Hino Hub earlier. The crossover number we think's about 1 minute and 23 seconds. It's not just wet, it's hammering down there at turn 6 at the moment, and they will be creeping along on a Dunlop slick tyre. They've got residual temperature in the tyre at the moment, but that will not last long. This is going to be a battle to keep the cars on the racetrack. What a story this afternoon in Townsville.
What do you do?
What do you do? Do you hang in there? Can you keep the thing on the island, or do you need to bring it in for a Dunlop wet? And certainly nobody wants to blink at this stage.
But it's sunny there.
Not much rain around, mate. There's not much around.
So do you take a punt and stay on the slick tyre? They are going to take a punt and stay on the slick tyre. And we're watching some of the absolute best in the world in these conditions, because Mostert, we know, is like that. Waters is extraordinary in these conditions.
And with warmth in the tyre and the drivers fully connected to and understanding their cars and the road condition, they'll hang on to the bitter end. They'll need to see a huge drop in lap speed before they make the change. Last lap through, 19.9 for Mozzie, 19.8 for Randall, 18.8 for Waters, to your point, and a 19 flat for Will Brown, 4th position, and Will playing into the game here. The margins are condensing, the rain is falling. We've got 10 laps to go in Townsville. It's lucky race number 13 in the Repco Supercars Championship, and these blokes are holding on to these things and wrestling 1.5 tons around this racetrack.
And you've got to stop the paint. You can see the line, the difference there that Mostert and Randall and Waters were using on the exit of turn 6. If you make the paint, you make the grass, you make the fence. So they were doing a very conservative exit job to stay off the painted line and stay off that complete painted curve. Randall now putting pressure on.
Now, this also dramatically changes the survivability of the tyres at the back end of their line. They have a little cool out, they might get a breather, they might now survive better. Waters is right on the back of his teammate. Only a heartbeat ago, Randall was vying for the lead. He might now be under threat for second. 9 laps remain in Townsville. Mostert, Randall, Waters, Brown, LeBrock, Payne, Feeney, Davison down the 8th now. Heimgartner and Courtney. And here comes Cam down the inside, P2.
That was bold. He was a long way back. He just fired straight down there. He obviously knew it was his teammate, but at that point there, he was committed to it. If Thomas turned in, he was going to fire him off the road.
Back to the beginning in the battle between Mostert and Waters. It reignites exactly as it did off the line at the start of this motor race much earlier this afternoon. Have a look at those numbers in the graphic at the bottom of the screen. Have a look up in the top left-hand corner and see how many laps we've got to go. Have a look in the background at the black sky. That weather did come in from the southeast despite the sunshine that we saw. And things have changed pretty dramatically for a bunch of people. Notably, Will Davison's car has not adapted to those conditions at all, having gone down now into position number 8. Here's our race lead. Mostert, 9/10 of a second from Waters. Randall on screen for Castro. Just lurking in the background in the shadows at the moment is Will Brown. There he is. Our championship leader has done a mighty job for position number 13 on the grid today. He's a factor. He may well get onto the podium. You would not have thought that possible earlier in the day. There they are, right in front of us with 8 to go. Anything can happen in terms of this podium.
And if you like a bet, it's Winks odds for Waters to have a crack at Mostert, because Cam Waters all day, they battled since lap 1. And at the point of the race right now, Waters has got nothing to lose. He will have a serious crack at Chaz Mostert, there's no doubt.
Tension in the garages at the extreme level. Sam Potter, engineer for Cam Waters.
Still wet.
Ryan Walkinshaw, the owner of Walkinshaw Andretti United, a co-owner together with Zach Brown and Michael Andretti. And it still looks pretty ordinary out there towards the southeast. The wipers on Cam's car. Parts of the racetrack are dry. Other parts are partially wet. Others are quite wet. How do you play that game? It's all about the feel in the seat of your pants. Tips of your fingers, tippy toe off your toes to be able to understand how to get the most out of your Dunlop tyre that's well worn on a greasy track with 1.5 tons wanting to get away from you and throw you into a concrete wall.
And these are the 2 best proponents, or 2 of the best we've ever seen. These guys are the best. When it's like this, when the inclement conditions and the grip level is weird, they always optimise it. Here we go. Down there, he had to move it. Mostert, he knew he was going to be drilled.
Change for the lead. But does Mozzie come back down the inside? He argues the case on the run to turn 3. Cam Waters has taken the lead at race number 13 in greasy conditions down the inside at turn 2. That's an eyeful of Mostert's car back into position number 2 now. Is Waters going to be able to keep this pace up and open the margin?
And what it does is it makes Cam Waters the pioneer for the conditions. Previously, Mostert was down the inside. He looks. Can he get down there? It almost forces Waters slightly wide at 7, then 8. This is the wild spot because this corner's fast.
Brown on Randall for 3rd. Keep an eye in the background because this could change in a heartbeat. Here he comes, under brakes down here at turn 11. Will Brown's now on the podium. What a drive this afternoon. Thomas Randall argues the case back out the other side. He's almost cleared him by the time he's put power to the road. Battle up the front, Waters v Mostert. Battle for position number 3 involves Brown v Randall. This is an epic race in Townsville this afternoon with now 6 laps remaining.
So now Waters is going to read the conditions. When you're the lead person, when it's like this, you don't know how much grip you've got at the next corner. As Randall has a plunge down the inside, across the painted lines, and now Will Brown tries to turn back and they make contact. That was close to going in the fence.
No. Unbelievable exchange between Thomas and Will between 2 and 3, and that could have ended in tears with a tiny bit more throttle percentage there. Luckily, cooler heads prevailed. They came out the other side. But it's exactly the same up the front between Chaz and Cam. There's nothing in that battle at the moment. Where do you place your bets? Who's going to get this job done? We've got a little under 6 remaining. They've been racing for an hour and 47 minutes, and I've got no idea who's going to win this, who's going to be second or who's going to be third. In fact, the battles continue each and every way. And now again down the inside by Will. Nice work.
Great
Turn
driving.
11.
Great
That was
driving.
a cool pass.
Yeah, great driving.
Good race this afternoon. This is fun. What an afternoon of motorsport. And bar a mistake, it's done. So last lap 17.2 for Cam Waters, 17.4 for Chaz Mostert, 17 flat for Will Brown. Margin across the top, 4.5 seconds, and have a go at this. Still an epic battle all the way to the end for Randall, LeBrock and Feeney. A lot to play for here, valuable points, and Brock's well aware of that. He's second in the championship. Back to our leader, who's actually now well opened that gap. All the pressure is off. Half a lap remaining. He's flicking the lights to Nick Percat, who copped damage in the opening lap. This has been a magical drive today from Cam Waters, and a consolidation of the brilliance that we saw in practice from Tickford and Waters in the monster car in Friday practice 1 and 2, earlier today in quali, and then in the top 10 shootout, and then in a gigantic battle all the way to this checkered flag. One corner now remains. Out of the final corner, 88 laps in the bank, and this has been a magical drive by Cam Waters today to take a stunning victory in Townsville and to move his career tally on to win number 13.
Round of P6 or so, mate. Round of P6. Good job, mate. Awesome. That was epic, mate. Great job.
Waters to win from Mostert, from Brown, Payne, Randall and LeBrock. There's 5 different teams in the top 6 cars.
So just continuing that, Brock Feeney in 7th, Will Davison down in 8th, Andre Heimgartner and Cameron Hill, as I mentioned before. That's our top 10 today with a spread of just a little over 30 seconds from Bryce Fullwood. So nice return to form for the Middies electrical entry. James Courtney, who's had a lot of experience at this racetrack, together with the bloke right behind him. They've done all of them since 2009. Mark Winterbottom, Richie Stanaway, David Reynolds, teammates, James Golding and Ryan Wood, Macaulay Jones, Brody Kostecki, unfortunately, with damage early in the game. Behind him was Aaron Love, Nick Percat, Jackson Evans, Tim Slade, Anton De Pasquale, all victims of various tales.
So what does all this mean in terms of the championship scenario? Well, that's a fair distance now between the two teammates. Just about all of the points that are up for grabs tomorrow. Chaz Mostert, he has closed slightly. Cam Waters jumps a fair way as well. He gets himself inside the top 5 from 6th. Matty Payne is actually the big mover today. He's gone from 9th inside the top 5 in the points. Nick Percat probably copping it the worst. He's dropped down to 8th, but still just so tight. Look at that, from 5th all the way down to Andre Heimgartner. There's barely any points separating those drivers, so a lot of moving and shaking inside those top few spots. In the team's championship, well, we know what it looks like at the top. Walkinshaw and Andretti United are hanging on to 2nd. Monster Castrol Racing have managed to jump up a few spots though. They were 5th in the points coming into today, and they've got themselves up to 3rd, where Shell V-Power Racing's actually done the opposite and dropped down a couple. Penrite Racing holds steady where they were inside the top 4. And Brad Jones Racing still trying to get themselves away from that second last spot in pit lane, but have done so today with a few points, so getting themselves a little bit closer. Gee, hope you had some popcorn for that one. That was nearly 2 hours of racing, an absolute blockbuster.